Hey everyone, welcome back to the Nello Reads channel. Our first Choosing Beggars story of the day comes from Arbus. Lowball me on my house? No. This was about 10 years ago now. I got a new job about 3 hours away, so I had to sell my house. It was a Midwest medium-sized town, historic district, and on the historic registry. A beautiful old Victorian built in 1895. It had been fully restored in the early 80s with a lot of work done, but as with any old house, there were ongoing maintenance needs. That being said, electrical and plumbing were less than 10 years old and fully up to code. Brand new HVAC system and components, new windows, siding recently painted. Basically, this old house was in tip-top shape. Asking price, $135K. I was expecting to get about $120K for it. At the time, in this area, these prices were on the higher end, but not the most expensive in the neighborhood, and not the cheapest either. Very fairly priced. A young couple comes and looks at it, and fell in love with it immediately. They wanted a second showing where the young man's father, who was a contractor, was going to look it over. It was their first home purchase, so I was a little leery, but also had nothing to hide. I didn't have an issue with it. Dad comes and looks at the house, and the next day an offer came through. Only $85K. $50K below asking price. Accompanying the offer was a laundry list of things that, quote, needed to be fixed, along with what contractor the dad would charge for the repair. I won't go into why this was ridiculous, other than to say that many of these repairs were fully subjective, cosmetic repairs that were unnecessary. So my realtor asked what I wanted to counter with. Counter? I was offended. I said I won't be countering. That's an offensive and ridiculous offer and list of demands. Finally, after her practically begging me to counter, I just said, just say no. That's it. No context. Just reply with a single no. She did. Minutes later, her phone was ringing. Another realtor she worked with was calling. They told her, you have to counter with something, anything. They are expecting a counter, even if it's almost no difference. She was begging for a counter offer. Fine, I countered at $145K. Accompanying was a reason, potentially difficult buyers. They came back at $110K. I declined. Sold the house about 3 weeks later for $128K. I don't know about everyone else listening, but where I am, anything less than $200K is an absolute steal for a house that's in the condition OP said it was. Then again, this story is 10 years old, so those prices probably aren't accurate anymore. Shout out to the OP for standing his ground though, and just saying no when they offered him, and yes, I did the math, 60% of what he was asking for. I'd be offended too, honestly. Our next story comes from Spooky Sparkles. Calling it a contest doesn't justify the short change. So my local city board decided one of the smaller parks needed a new veteran memorial, but they don't want to go to the bother of professionally contracting one. Instead, they're putting their demands out into the ether and expecting some poor soul to do it for them. Here's some of the criteria. Must be professionally drawn or rendered, with a cover page including a short essay on why your design deserves to be chosen. Must be at least 10 square feet, but not exceeding 100 square feet. You may suggest a location, an 800 square foot area, but you do not get final say. Must research the cost of materials and assembly, and should not cost more than $10K. Must include a detailed budget, as well as ideas for fundraisers to meet said budget. If chosen, your design will be legally owned by the city, but you'll get credit for the inspiration. All must be completed within 1 week because they didn't bother to actually distribute the information until a week before the deadline. And what's the prize for winning this contest? A $250 gift card. Never mind that, I've seen furry art go for more money. This is a full-on contracting design commission, which as far as I can guess, a job that would be at least double to triple the cost of what they're offering for less than the price of a TV. And the city will own your design and will have paid you with an untraceable gift card. And the best part? They're mainly targeting high schoolers and college kids who don't know how insanely suckered they're being. Small town politics are so freaking scummy, I swear. As cool as it would be to be able to say, hey, I designed this statue and the city put it up, getting paid $250 to do it is not worth the easily hundreds of hours it would take to do it. I mean, they're not even really paying you $250 either. It's a contest, so you might do all that work and walk away with nothing. And the person who wins gets a gift card. I don't think they specified where it would be to, so it could be $250 to a place you don't even like. The third story comes from Dreamer of the Sky. Bride wants me to create her entire wedding art for exposure. Okay, this happened a few years ago, but I thought you all might get a kick out of this. Back when blogs were the bomb and the Book of Faces was not as popular as it is today, a bride wanted me to create her wedding art. In the past, she had purchased a few things from me before she had gotten engaged. Some small paintings, signs, and fun stuff. When she would come to my studio to pick up the work, we would chat. I'm super friendly, so we would chit-chat a bit, exchange money for art, and then she would go on her way. That's it. For her wedding art, she had big plans. She wanted wedding signs, table centerpieces, gifts for the wedding party, gifts for her parents and in-laws, gifts for her guests. Roughly 100 people for a big old barn wedding, 20 bridal party people, then her family and in-laws were another 8 people in total. She would also like a big painting of the barn she is getting married in for her home, Thomas Kincaid style, with the wedding date on the art piece, naturally. Roughly 30 by 46, if not bigger. She had the wall space for it, and she really did like my art. The catch? She would like me to do all of this for the exposure of the event. No money, just exposure. She was a PR person, so her big plan was to blog the entire wedding process. Oh, to hear her tell it, it was going to be fabulous. An in-depth and behind the scenes of the wedding of the decade, which would include her finding the dress, exercise program for her and the bridesmaids, moving in with her fellow, getting a dog, me making art for the wedding, her mother and father coming together after a painful divorce for her wedding, blah blah blah. Seriously, she was looking at a tab of maybe $8,000 of work out of me, and I was going to be a blurb on a blog of her wedding extravaganza. Even the dog was going to get its own page. She blew a fuse when I declined. I mean, exposure is nice, but paying the electric bill is nicer. She had a big old bride meltdown too. Cried, wailed, screamed, and snarled. At one point, she made that sound a tea kettle does when it's ready. I don't know how she did that, but it was impressive. Not to be defeated, she had her mommy call me, her daddy call me, had her sister call me, all screamed at me for denying her my art and time. I don't think anyone had ever said no to her before. Can you get to the age of 25 and not hear the words no? I know I sure didn't. For a while there, I thought no was my first name. I told them in short to F off, but you know I said it more professional-like. They pestered me for about a month before they finally took the hint. I never blocked them, I just let them rant to my voicemail. Drove them even crazier. She did invite me to the wedding though. Oh, how sweet. No +1 though, ceremony only, no reception. Then she told me I could make her the centerpieces in the large painting as her gift. Yeah, a loophole, lucky me. I passed and sent nothing as a gift. We are not friends. I'm not going to her dingbat wedding. Thanks. But if I was to be honest, I kind of wanted to go. I did. I really wanted to dress in my art studio ripped jeans / t-shirt outfit. You know, the crap that if my mom saw me wear, she would tell me I looked like a hobo. Then, once she saw me, I had this dream of handing her a $5 gift card to Starbucks while I cracked a beer and walked away. But she wasn't worth the gas to get to the ceremony. Why bother? Much better to just stay home. In the end, I heard about 50 people showed up to the wedding as she and her family were driving everyone nuts. It also rained on her wedding day too. Big fat rain too. The run to your house deluge kind. Not all day, but enough to make the barn leak a bit. So it was a muddy, gross day that was unseasonably cold to boot. That must have been fun to hang out with the cash bar, right? I never checked her blog out. A mutual acquaintance said it was a single page with a few pictures. Not nearly the fantastic real-life expose of a young bride I was promised. Think more like a school project that you got a C for. The acquaintance also told me the wedding photographer was a no-show because she did not pay them in advance. Yes, she asked for a discount too. She never paid the upfront fees, so the photographer canceled on the event. The entire ceremony was recorded by the guests' iPhones. At least, I think they were iPhones. They were the early video phones for sure. Oh, and you'll love this. She asked for a discount from the caterer because only half the people showed up. So I guess she felt like only paying for half the food? I'm not sure how that worked out in her mind. She didn't get that, of course. I know the caterer. She was paid in advance and she does not do refunds. She will also not give you the time of day if you annoy her. I like her. The bride was divorced within a year. Hubby left her for one of her friends. I think she was one of the bridesmaids. Don't quote me on that. All I know is she came home to the dog and all of his stuff gone. He also took my art with him. You know, the stuff she had purchased from before she got engaged. I guess they both liked me. It has been years since the big wedding. My days of doing wedding art are long behind me, as I now sell in galleries and such. She still calls me from time to time for art. She hears the price I quote, and then offers me half. The other half will go to a paid promotion on social media. I decline. She is marked in my phone as do not answer. This whole work for exposure thing really just blows my mind. It always seems like people who have like 300 Instagram followers and think they're gonna be the next big thing are always the people that try and pull it too. I think the good chemical feelings you get from social media just really fries some people's brains, right? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's stories, and I'll see you in the next video.